If you go out and you find a shed, an antler shed, one of the things that's interesting is that every one of them is unique. Each antler is going to be different, not only from deer to deer, but it's going to be different from the same deer from one year to the next. And so if you're going to go out and search for these things, you're always going to find something new and unique when you do find an antler shed.
Shed hunting gives the hunter a reason to enter the woods at an otherwise downtime in the hunting world. Hunting for antler sheds is a family affair, no matter the size or age of the family.
Yeah, well, my name's Dusty Reed, and I am definitely an addict. I mean, I love horns unbelievably. I do, I just like them. I like the feeling of walking up to them and seeing it for the first time.
Well, I started shed hunting approximately in the 1980s, and I moved out to Colorado. I was in the Air Force out there, and I didn't have much else to do in the spring but walk around looking for sheds. And I'd find a few mule deer sheds, and I thought that was wonderful. And now it's really an addiction, and I just love looking for sheds.
For my honeymoon, I like shed hunting so much that my wife wanted to go horseback riding, and I wanted to go hunting, whether mule deer or whatever. So we settled on shed hunting off horseback in Wyoming, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. But it was soaking, it was raining. We went out there and it was awesome. We got up in the mountains on the horses. First time I ever got on a horse, so it was a little shaky. Of course, I sort of lied a little just so I can get into the good areas where the good shed hunting was, because we had to cross a couple mountains to get there. But once we got up there though, it was something else, seeing a big elk antler just laying there. I mean, it couldn't have been better. My wife she actually found the first antler, and I mean, just seeing her excitement for it. I mean, I never even imagined that she would actually like shed hunting as much as she does.
Well, my brother and I have a small body shop, and we were done with our work early on Friday one day. And I said to my brother, I said, would you mind if I go out to Colorado looking for sheds for the weekend? And he says, go ahead. So I got in my old car and drove. I made it to Nebraska. My car clunked out, I lost the transmission. So I had to buy a new car and finished my trip. And I got out there, I looked for 13 hours. I walked 18.7 miles, I found 28 sheds, climbed back in my car, slept for 6 hours, and drove home the next day. It's just one of those things, you got to do it, and you really enjoy it.
When local taxidermist Craig Beyer had his 100th conversation about sheds and shed hunting, he decided it was time for a meeting of the minds. On a spring evening in a sleepy central Wisconsin town of 84, hundreds of locals showed up with more antlers than they could display. Full to capacity, the local tavern provided a place to meet fellow shed hunters, swap stories and techniques for finding these prized bones.
This is a town of 84, and we had hundreds of people in this building. I knew it would be a good turnout. We'd all have fun, and I knew how many sheds were out there, and this reaffirmed to people that the deer herd's in good shape and we'll get more big bucks than ever. And there were some giant sheds brought in there, and not just from Wisconsin, they come from all over, but people don't care. They just want to hold and feel a big shed and just look at it and marvel, hey, this thing's still alive, and he's going to be even bigger this year, hopefully. So it's an amazing thing.
Editor Dan Schmidt stopped by and was stunned by the turnout and the booming popularity of shed hunting.
When we showed up that night for the shed show and we walked in the doors, I said, you have got to be kidding me. I mean, this is a town of less than 100 people. There was at least 500 people packed in there from not only our county, but from several counties around. And everybody was there for one purpose, to look at antlers. I mean, we had to turn people away at the door. They were bringing in wash baskets full of antlers. What was really neat about this is it's testament to land management and how we're raising whitetails nowadays. I mean, everybody's getting into this. It's extending it into families, kids, spouses. I mean, it's getting everybody involved in the sport of deer hunting. That's pretty neat when you think about it.
With the kids, it was for fun. It was just a lot, for fun, and we didn't find the size of the horns as we do now. As as time went on, we leased some of this land, closed a lot of it up, and we're in the doing the quality thing, and now it's getting to be more competitive. I mean, it's getting to be like a challenge. Who would get out there first? I mean, one particular year. We had this one particular big buck that we had. We got 2 years, at that time we had 2 years of sheds off him. We tried hunting him hard and tried setting up on him, but he's just a smart old buck. And that following year in the snow, and the snow was deep, and we had footprints coming in from the back side, trying to get in an area where we found his sheds prior. And I tell you what, it had to be a lot of work because he had to walk at least a mile through snow knee deep.
We get complaints or people grumble about going out looking for sheds, and all of a sudden they come across some tracks on the land where the people went out the previous day or the previous night. Some people are going out at night with flashlights, and some of those people are trespassing, which is a violation that we do not enforce trespass, but we do hear about those conflicts. I know of some people in the northern part of the county who have actually constructed a fence on one side of their 40 simply because they do not want the neighbors sneaking onto their land. I know another property owner that is contemplating that right now, putting up a fence on about probably almost an 80-acre line of their property, strictly to keep the neighbor from shooting onto their land or possibly harvesting a deer that might be coming off of their property.